This is the Daetrix LifeCycle Handbook, and it was put together. I created it after I had been studying the patterns of time. And when people saw some of the calendar patterns that you're going to see shortly, they asked, well, what does that have to do with me? And so the book is really about how we translate the patterns of time in our own life and what it can tell us about our own evolutionary process. So we're going to be talking about 5 points today. The first is Spaceship Earth. And if you haven't heard of that concept before, it's a term that was coined originally by Buckminster Fuller. We're going to talk about cycles of time, stages of human development, and I'll say briefly, I came to this work having studied and taught at Berkeley in architecture. And I found that after studying architecture, that I found that we had learned how to build, but not really what to build. And by that, what I mean is we had never defined what constitutes a healthy, nurturing environment for human growth and development. And so I began over 40 years ago studying other fields, and particularly the field of developmental psychology, and looking at what do we know about human growth and development which can help us in how we shape our environment. The work is based on a quote originally from Winston Churchill, who said, "We shape our environment, and thereafter our environment shapes us." So as an architect, I wanted to learn as much as I could about this developmental process. And what I found was, we'll talk about this as we get to it, is that all the developmental theory was abstract. And it talked about stages of development, but it wasn't Earth-based. And what we're going to talk about today is actually Earth-based and how the cycles of the Earth affect our developmental process individually. We're then going to look at this notion of Daetrix life cycle patterns, and finally the Daetrix life cycle spiral.